I'm working with some number 10 wire, and obviously this ground connection is bad. The corrosion on it is pretty severe, not only in just the ring, as you can see, but all the way up into the wire. It's simply a mechanical connection, which is what I don't prefer. If I can get this connector apart to expose the wire, you can see it relies strictly on a mechanical connection. And with this much corrosion involved, it doesn't do very well. The connector is green and corroded all the way through. I'm going to splice this wire onto a new piece. Same procedures as I do, other than it being a number 10. I'll clean it, scrape it, get as much of this oxidation off as I can. And there's a lot of it in here. A lot more strands to contend with. It takes a little time. Get as many of these strands clean as you possibly can. Again, never use any acid core solder, plumbing solder. Use only 60-40 rosin core electrical solder. You'll find the best results. One of the questions was the heat. There's references to temperature. Unfortunately, even though I do have a temperature controlled iron, most people don't. They have a basic soldering gun or a torch. I prefer a gun rather than the open flame. I do have a Weller brand, and it's rated at 100 watt or 140. I'm actually going to be soldering this wire on the 100 watt range to show that it can be done with a number 10 wire. If you get into the lower power ratings, you may have more difficulties getting enough heat from your iron to flow the solder and get the joint hot enough to operate. That connection is reasonably clean. I'm going to use a bare butt splice. Because it does fit relatively loose, I will lightly crimp it for a better mechanical connection. I do have a piece of new number 10. A light connection. This wire is going to get very hot, so I really don't want to hold it in my hand. I'm going to start with the iron just on the tip. A little bit of solder to start the heating process. But flow the solder right at the end of the connector. Takes a while to develop enough heat to melt that solder. There it goes. It's starting to flow into the joint. You can actually see the solder wicking up into the copper. Fill that entire joint until the solder is right at the outside edge. It will seal it, won't leave any gaps, and the joint's completed. And is it hot? Oh yeah. But the joint is sealed all the way around. And very solid. The other part would be actually the ring connector to replace the one that was bad. Same procedure. I'll put the ring on. Always crimp with the detent on the back side. Never crimp the detent at the split. It will break the connector open. You want just enough to hold it in place. Same gun, 100-watt setting. Takes a minute to get it warm. The heat of the gun goes on the connector. It takes a little while for the heat to build up before the solder will actually start to melt. And there it goes. Solder's flowing into the connection. And that connector's full. And yes, it too is hot.